All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking Raiders. In tonight's video, I just saw this headline. Former NFL executive believes Las Vegas Raiders are preparing team for Gardner Minshew over Aiden O'Connell. We're going to talk about all that in the end of, or at the second half of today's video. I want to touch on a couple of more things with Brock Bowers. They selected Brock Bowers at pick number 13. And of course, Twitter's losing its mind right now because, Terry Arnold said earlier today that the Raiders called him after he got selected by the Lions, and they were like, yeah, we were going to select you or Brock Bowers, and we flipped the coin. And it was, down to a coin flip. And I think he was using figurative language, but everyone on Twitter is thinking Tom Telesco literally flipped a coin. Neither here nor there, which he certainly didn't actually flip a coin on who he was going to select. But you're getting a freaking stud. I was comparing him earlier. I don't think a lot of people are going to like this to Marvin Harrison Jr. because several NFL scouts reportedly graded Brock Bowers as the best player in the 2024 NFL draft class. And Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported that Bowers' position pushed him outside of the top 10. And obviously the Raiders end up selecting him at pick 13. I don't care who's throwing him the football, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. Once again, we'll talk about that in just a second. You just got hopefully an all-pro. You just got, hopefully the best tight end in the NFL in a couple of seasons here. He was a star the second he got to Georgia. He earned All-American honors at each of his 3 seasons with the team. He's the only player in college football history to win the John Mackey Award as the nation's top tight end in consecutive seasons. So, you're getting a day one dude. Just a day one starting dude. Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers, 12 team or 12 man. Like, you're going to run 2 tight end sets. You got guys who can block, who can catch, who can do a little bit of everything. And Brock Bowers is literally just a freak of nature athlete that the Raiders, outside of the quarterback question mark, they're in a really, really good spot long term because you have, by the end of the season, I've said this on this channel, I'll say it one more time, I think Brock Bowers will be the second best offensive player on the Raiders when the season is over. And you've got dudes like Jacoby Myers and rising stud Trey Tucker. There's a lot of talent on the offensive side of things, but Brock Bauer day one will be a stud. So welcome back to the channel. Post daily Raiders content over here. If you guys would hit that like button, we try to get to 250 likes. That would mean the absolute world to me. But subscribe for daily Raiders content. So, I'm seeing a bunch of stuff, and we'll just go through the headliners right here. So, Aiden O'Connell last season, he exceeded expectations, but he's kind of on the hot seat here because he picked up Gardner Minshew. So, you selected Aiden O'Connell in the 4th round of the 2023 NFL draft, and he eventually took over for Jimmy Garoppolo as the starter in Week 9 once Josh McDaniels was officially fired and Dave Ziegler was fired, their GM, and he ended up throwing for a little over 2,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions with a 62% completion rate in 11 games, but only 10 starts. He finished the campaign on a high note, throwing for 8 touchdowns without an interception in his last 4 starts, and the naysayers are saying, i.e. Chiefs fans are saying, well, he didn't complete a pass, the outside of the first quarter when you took us down on Christmas Day. And to me, the point is the Raiders with a 4th string rookie quarterback took down the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas freaking Day. Like, for a rookie in the 4th round thrown into the mix in a completely new scheme with a new head coach, like, that's very impressive for me, even if he didn't complete a pass outside of the first quarter. But that does beg a question because we saw a report, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, Las Vegas would have considered drafting quarterback Michael Penix Jr. if the Atlanta Falcons had not taken him with the 8th pick in April. So here we've got, after the Raiders missed out on top quarterback prospects, NFL Ian Rappaport hinted that Minshew has the pole position for the starting job. He said this in a tweet: "Another QB, the Broncos, who just traded for Zach Wilson, now take Bo Nix at number 12, their quarterback of the future, which means the Raiders are out of first-round QBs. It's Gardner Minshew time in Las Vegas." And then, like we said at the beginning of this video, former NFL executive believes Las Vegas Raiders preparing team for Gardner Minshew over Aiden O'Connell. Now, it's important to keep in mind, Antonio Pierce has already come out here and said numerous times that Aiden O'Connell has the job, and it is his job to lose. So, there's a bunch of different scenarios that the Raiders can go through at the quarterback position here. What every Raiders fan should be hoping for, even though Gardner Minshew did get a fat backup contract, is, we always have to keep in mind, even if Aiden wins the contract and misses a game, well, what if it's week 13? What if it's week 14 against the Chargers and you're fighting for a playoff spot? It's very important to have a competent, capable, winning, most importantly, proven winner backup QB, a guy like Gardner Minshew. So, I don't care what the price tag is. I really don't, because even if Gardner Minshew never starts the game for the Raiders in his 2 years of his contract, to me, it's still very beneficial because you just need that insurance. 17 games, you're playing 3 preseason games, you get scraped up by the end of the season, everybody's a little bit banged up. You want a reliable backup QB. Like, look at the Cincinnati Bengals of last season when Joe Burrow went, or sorry, look at the Pittsburgh Steelers of last season. Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky. Well, their third string QB, Mason Rudolph, who ended up going to the Tennessee Titans, wins 3 straight football games and then is the starting quarterback for the wild card round against the Buffalo Bills. Without Mason Rudolph, the Pittsburgh Steelers certainly don't make the playoffs. So just having Gardner Minshew in my back pocket is really reassuring. Now, if Aiden O'Connell, who's 25 years old, by the way, if he doesn't come in and win the starting job, he probably will not be a starting QB for the Raiders at any point in his contract. And if he loses the job to Gardner Minshew, the Raiders, depending on how the seasons go, Gardner Minshew, a little bit not on the older side, but you're not trying to build a team around him. Yeah, he can hang in there with guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, but can he actually lead you to the Super Bowl and win it? That remains to be seen. However, my point is this. Just like I think every Raiders fan should be rooting for Aiden O'Connell, the point is you've given him a bunch of weapons, a ton of weapons. And I also still think the Raiders are going to go out there and sign a veteran running back, not named Alexander Mattison. He's coming off a horrible season. Zamir White, I'm very hopeful he can be RB1 long-term for the Raiders. And obviously the Raiders think that as well. The running back is the QB's best friend, along with your offensive line. And that's why you drafted guys like JPJ, who's going to immediately win the right guard spot, in my opinion. And you also drafted DJ Glaze, who's going to be more of a long-term depth move. And then you picked up Andres Pete a couple of days ago from the New Orleans Saints for more offensive line depth because those dudes get injured, banged up all the freaking time. But my point is, you've surrounded your second-year quarterback, the hopeful franchise QB, even though it might be a long shot depending on who you ask, with plenty of weapons. Starts with Brock Bowers. You've still got Michael Mayer. You still have Devontae Adams. You got Jacoby Myers, super underrated. Trey Tucker, who showed me Trey Tucker had a bunch of bright flashes in his rookie season. We want to see it at more consistent rate this upcoming season. But I go back to that last game against Denver. He had a 47-yard catch. At the end of the day, he had 5 catches on 5 targets for 79 yards. If he's giving you any type of production like he did in that last game of the season against Denver, you have one of the best offenses on paper in the NFL. And they get a couple more insurance guys, couple reliable veteran pieces like Michael Gallup, and they also picked up Jalen Guyton 2 days ago. So there's plenty of weapons, offensive line depth, running back depth, tight end depth, wide receiver depth. There's so much talent and depth all across the board that the point is you've given Aiden O'Connell enough. You've given him enough. So let's see if he can rise to the occasion, which I believe he can. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Let me know who's starting QB for the Raiders this season down below.